Hello, this is Hunter McDermott with another episode of Guitar Blog. This is episode 26, Saturday, February 29th, Leap Day 2020, 5:45 p.m. Um, yeah, I haven't done videos in a little while because I don't know why. I picked up a book by a guy named Randy Vincent. I talked about another one of his books called The Cellular Approach on the blog before. This was called The Guitarist's Introduction to Jazz, which is pretty cool. Um, it does a really good job of some things, maybe all the things, but it's kind of like uh, sitting in front of a feast of food and not really knowing where to start. Knowing that you'd like to eat it all, but like not how to cut it up, for example. So like he'll say, here's like some comping stuff. Now practice this in all the keys. And then also here's another way you could do all that same stuff. And you could do it this other way and these other 17 ways. And all that stuff is really, really good, but it's just so much. And I wish that Randy would, I don't know, be more explicit about. I mean, he's a mature. He treats you with respect, I guess. Like, here's the information. Now go do with it what you will. And I have some respect for not trying to coddle people, I guess. But for me personally, I see an exercise like this. Cool. It's like a little 2-5-1 thing, and that's using some voicings I've never seen before. Okay. And then like I do that a few times, but I don't love the sound of it, and then he moves on to something else, and it's got like 18 new voicings, and I don't know, it's overwhelming. So, undeterred, I am making an attempt to do what I think he intends, which is to go through the book, find the pieces that I like, and put those into my playing somehow. Um, and that's really involving mostly comping stuff. The book does get into soloing by like copying like riff-based tunes, and then learning material from other jazz heads, stuff, and rhythm changes and bebop stuff. So it's got a smattering of all kinds of stuff, and I think he goes in a pretty smart order. But the comping is really the big thing for me that I'm interested in. So he takes a lot of things like, okay, don't play an A minor 7 chord like this. You could play an A minor 9. And then instead of going like to a D7, you could go. So you're adding some more flavor. You got an A minor 9 and then like a D7 flat 9. And then instead of going to like a G major 7, which is what I would probably do, he goes to a 13. Let's see. Yeah, I mean a 9, a G major 9. So then you got this. And that's kind of nice. So I'm trying to take the drop 2 stuff that I would normally do and kind of swap out stuff. Like whenever I can, throw in a more interesting dominant chord, or a half diminished replacement for a thing, or there's a lot of really great stuff in here for like 13s and 9s and that kind of stuff. And that stuff, I like that kind of dense voiced stuff with lots of extensions. It's what I hear a lot and really like in the comping that I listen to. But anyway, trying to implement this stuff is revealing to me that I really haven't spent that much time lately working on my drop 2 voicings. I'm picking it back up pretty quick, which is good. That means I did some good work once upon a time. But lately, when I pick up a new tune, I tend to not go to drop 2 voicings because I'm just less confident that I can find them all quick enough. Because again, like I've said before, typically at the jams, I'm picking up tunes I don't know or haven't played many times, if ever, or ever heard a lot of the time. So I tend to reach for shell voicings, which Randy does a great job of introducing shell voicings because I think Sean McGowan does this too in some of his courses. It's a really good way to start. Root position, 3-note shell voicings because they're easy to learn, easy to play, and you can just, since they're all root based, you can just find them a lot more readily. At least I can. Something like this being like an A13 is a little bit trickier for me to see because I'm having to kind of do in my head like, okay, well the root is here or here, and see the relativity there. So anyway, I'm going back and I'm just taking my time going through and kind of refreshing my memory of the drop twos, specifically on the first 4 strings. I feel pretty good about my drop twos on the middle 4 strings because I actually use those quite a bit. But what I don't like is just they sound a little too square, a little too vanilla, like There Will Never Be Another You. I tend to play it like this. That kind of thing, and at the end. Now I like that because it's easy to play. You've got this nice descending voice leading thing happening in the top voice. So it's nice, I think it's great in a lot of ways, but I'm using these really common shapes that I think are just a little too predictable, and I'd like them to be a little bit more dense and more extensions and interesting things like that. So I want to build off of the drop 2 knowledge, but I've been sort of neglecting actually using the drop 2 stuff in a real situation. I tend to just kind of shy away from that from fear and go, I can do this with shells, so I'm just going to do that. And I think it's probably about time I stop falling back to that and work on my drop 2 stuff. Like this past week, it was just me and a bass player and 2 saxophone players. So that was a situation where playing root position voicings and doing more like rhythm-based stuff was actually really nice because it's just keeping it simple. It's laying down the kind of keeping time and really firmly establishing the harmony. But when I'm playing with a piano player or another guitar player or whatever, there's just more stuff happening and there's a lot more sound and space there for me to kind of play less. Then I need to go to my drop 2 stuff. And then the goal is to, once I feel a little bit more comfortable using the drop 2 stuff, jumping from inversion to inversion, doing this kind of nice stuff, then I feel like I can safely bring in these new voicings, start studying new voicings, and actually put them to use because I'm just more comfortable. So that's the plan. Let's see, the only other bit of news stuff that I've been thinking about is I am really interested in picking up a new guitar. I have that red D'Angelico, which I really, really liked at first, and now I don't like it anymore, and I don't know if I can explain why. I played it for a year, and I thought it was really nice. It was kind of like my main thing, and then I came back to the telly, and I was like, oh, I really like this. Like, this feels good, and that feels less good. And I tried to change the setup, and I put fresh strings on it, and I did some different things, and even with the new amp, I thought that might help, but I just don't like it. And I'm wondering if maybe like semi-hollow body guitars are guitars I just don't like the feel of personally. I love the way like they're usually huge. The body is huge, but thin. So I like the way they feel from like a playing standpoint. They tend to fit under my arm a little bit more comfortably. The telly being smaller, I do tend to kind of, wear out my shoulder a little bit more holding my arm up because I'm not able to kind of rest on there. Or if I rest, then I'm wearing my wrist out. So I really need to kind of float. But so it's a little bit more comfortable to play from that standpoint. But I don't like the sound that comes out of it, and I don't like the feeling under my fingers quite as much. Don't know why. It's a beautiful guitar. It's wonderful, but it's just not for me. And maybe semi-hollows aren't for me because I used to have a Gibson 335, and I came to really not like that either. So I was thinking Um, I bought this Telly mainly because Julian Lage played one, and I was like, Tellys. People seem to like them. Julian likes it. I like the sound of it. And I did plenty of homework and plenty of playing them to decide before I bought one, which is kind of new for me. But I've been really, really happy with the purchase. I've had it for 3 years now, I think, and I just still love it as much as I did the first day. I don't have many guitars I can say that about. I usually sour on them within a few months or a year. So I was thinking, like, well, okay, let's use that same logic. Who else do I like? I really like John Scofield. What does he play? He plays an Ibanez AS200. What is that? A semi-hollow body. It's basically like a 335 style guitar, or like the D'Angelico I have. So I'm wondering, like, it is very nice. It's probably nicer, realistically, than the 335 and than the D'Angelico, but is it just the type of guitar that I'm not going to be happy with in general? So I was kind of looking around for, like, another option, and I was thinking, I really, really like my solid body Fender. Not that I really even need to find anything else. I'm not going to replace this. But I just want to sell that red guitar and get something else. So I was thinking about maybe a Jazzmaster. And part of me feels sort of excited about the prospect of playing jazz primarily on a Jazzmaster, because it was originally conceived of back in the late 50s as a jazz guitar, as kind of like a solid body version of an archtop. It's got like some same sort of archtoppy features to it. But then, of course, it didn't catch on with jazz people. I think Mickey Baker played one, maybe. Joe Pass on the internet looks like he plays a Jag, but he actually did play a little bit of a Jazzmaster, I think, when he was doing his signing on thing. But anyway, you don't see a lot of... Nels Cline, I think, is a more contemporary guy who I know plays a Jazzmaster occasionally to play jazz type music. So anyway, I'm intrigued, like thinking like, this would be really kind of funny and interesting, at least to me, to show up and play jazz on a Jazzmaster. That's what it was designed for. So then I've been looking around and trying to figure out which one I would like to get. Nobody around where I am now has any, so I'm going to have to do some exploring and some faith leaping maybe when I decide, but that might be the way I go. I don't know. I really like Fender. I've been happy with this one. Buy another one by the same company. That's another nice guitar, but with some different features. Got a tremolo, different pickups. It's kind of got like an archtoppy floating bridge kind of thing. It's not floating, but it sort of acts like it. It's got that wacky rhythm circuit, which again most people don't use because it's just a warm neck pickup sound, which a lot of people prefer putting them in combination or whatever. And I really like that idea. I don't know, like I really just want to like play the Jazzmaster as it was intended and just see how I like it. Like really use the switch to go from rhythm to lead and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know. We'll see if I end up doing that. But anyway, that red guitar is for sale. If you're interested, let me know. All right, so I'm going to close today with a little bit of Have You Met Miss Jones. So I'm going to do 6 choruses. I'm going to play the head in and out, and then I'm going to take, I might alternate. I might do like a solo of soloing, a chorus of soloing, and then I'll do a chorus of comping with my drop 2 stuff, and then I might do 2 of those each, and then wrap it up. Yeah, I think that's it. Anyway, thanks for being patient. I'm kind of off schedule with these videos, and I don't know. I do them when I feel like it, and I haven't felt like it, but now I do. So here we go. Let's play this, and then we'll wrap it up. All right, here we go. Alright, not too bad. Thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you next time, whenever that happens to be. Take care.